Good morning, folks. I have a little script I'd like to share with you this morning. I had a problem I was trying to solve. I have a set of sheets, a set of tabs actually. In this example, I'm not showing them all, but I had a set of curriculum tabs: math, reading, writing, social studies, science, health. And they're set up like this. They have, as you can see here, they have, in this case, 41 rows of data. And I needed, for a purpose that we were doing, to get this, I needed a line feed in front of each one of these column C's, column D, column E. Now that would be quite a bit if you imagine 6 different sheets that I need to do this to, and I need to come in here and manually put in a line feed in front of each one of these cells. And then also in column D, I needed to add some data, and the data I needed to add was do not delete this line, following a line feed. So that would be a lot of work when I multiplied this out 150 or some different cells to do this in. And so instead I wrote a script. And then in order to simplify this, I actually put an on-open piece in the script so I have a new menu I can run. So let's see what this script does, and then we'll go over it. Add data to columns. So now I can simply click that, and I get a line feed in front of each one of the sets of work, and it's added this line, do not delete this line, at the end of everything in column D. And just playing around with this, I wanted to go, well, now that I've done that, what if I want to remove this, so I can come here and delete my data that I put in there, and I can delete my line feeds and do that, so I could go back to the way it was. So how do I do all this with an AppsScript? Well, let's take a look. We have an on-open, and that is what creates my menu, these 2 items here, simple on-open function. And then my first function, prepend line to column C, what that's doing is getting the active sheet, getting the data range, and the data range is, in this case, get the data range starting in row 2, column 3, get the last row minus 1, and we're going to do this on 1 column. Now, honestly, this data range, we could have probably bumped that up, but I've done it a little differently. Then we're getting the values of that data range. So our data range, we get the values. And then we use a for each loop to go through that and prepend a line feed and add back in the row of data that we've saved into an array with this index. And then we go back and data range, set the value. So our values becomes the line feed plus the data that existed. We set that back in there. And then what I'm doing is running the second function, which is prepend text to column D and prepend a line feed to column E. Well, prepend append text to column D does the same thing. It obviously, this is a little bit different. This is column D is the 4th column. What we're doing here is adding in the line feed and then adding in 2 line feeds along with this text. And then we set the values. And then we're also running prepend to column E. It's the same thing, but it's column 5 instead of column 3 or 4. And so when we run that script, when we run this first script, this one right here to column C, when it finishes, it runs this script, and then it runs this script. So then I decided, well, okay, I want to clean this up. And so what we wanted to do then here was to remove the line feed from the columns. So I identified the columns. Again, we're working on the active sheet. I identified the columns, C, D, E. And then I used this little piece of a script to get us the actual number of the column. So this way, I could have put numbers in here. Column numbers could have been column 3, 4, 5. But with this now, I could expand this out and use any columns using getting the column number from whatever is in here, getting the column letters, and then getting the numbers, mapping that. And then again, what we do is get the data range, we get the values, and then if it finds a line feed, remove the line feed, and then put in the substring of the data that is remains after the line feed. And so we do that, we set the values, and then I needed to remove the text from column D. So column D is this, has this text. We want to remove this text, do not delete this line, and again we run through here, we do the remove text function const here and pull that data out and set the data values without that. I got to save that here. So again, I can just simply back up my sheet. I can really quickly now add the data. That would have taken me hours of time, really, probably. And then if I decide I don't want that in there, I can remove it, and that would take basically a long time because I have so many rows of data. So again, going back to AppsScript to solve a problem that would have taken me hours, it did not take very long to write the scripts, so still ahead of the game with my timing.